Gaby Dunn. Hi, Gaby Dunn is our guest this week. Welcome back to Confidently Insecure, the podcast where we are absolutely sure that we don't know everything. And I am so excited about this episode because our audiences cross over deeply.
I know.
Are you too loud? Are you okay?
No,
I like hearing myself loudly.
No, I feel fine about it.
Okay.
I know my voice itself is loud. So
Great. Okay.
This is the loudest episode of all time.
No, but I prefer it be too
Yeah.
loud than too soft because then I can. Now, are you too soft?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I mean, I have no concept. Also, I don't think I can hear very well because I
don't know.
Well, I don't know. I watch like all these TV shows and
You
and
have to have the
them up to
captions
like
on?
captions on up to 100. I
Oh,
think
no.
there's certain shows. I feel like my mom or like a grandma because like certain shows I'll be like I'll start watching. I'll watch the pilot and I'll be like it's too dark. And then I can't watch the rest of it because the way it's shot is too dark and I can't see what's happening.
Yeah. Are you allergic to cats?
No.
Okay.
It's my own hair.
Because I was going to
off.
say it's definitely cat hair. You're going to be leaving with like a piece of Leo.
That's fine.
Okay, good. Yeah. So our audiences cross over very deeply. Everyone was so fucking excited that you were going to come on here.
Really?
So we got so many answers to our bisexual call out.
I saw, yeah.
Like that my intern put together a list longer than like anything I've ever seen. So as much as I wanted to do this episode about like, oh my God, your books, your writing,
No,
your this,
that's
I was
fine.
like, I just want this to be, I think I'm going to title this like the big bisexual episode because in what other context do you get two
I know.
bicon queens?
I know.
Most notably a noted bisexual.
A noted bisexual, which is what I named my
Your
company.
production company.
Yeah, my production company.
Which I love. So as much as I'd love to tout about like your accolades and everything, can you just
Sure.
give us a very quick highlight reel of what you've been up to lately besides hosting an amazing podcast?
Sure. Yeah, I have the Just Between Us podcast. And then Bad with Money podcast is about to come back. And then I had a Bad with Money book come out in January.
I got it. It's great.
Thank you. And then Allison and I had a book come out in July.
Which I also got, which is also great. And the format is really fun.
Yeah, it's emails and texts. So that's like a young adult novel. That's a different thing. And then I just had my first graphic novel come out called Bury the Lead. And,
Wait, I read that was happening, but it came out?
It came out October 8th. Yeah,
Oh my God,
so it's out.
congrats.
Thank you.
How was that different than everything else you've done?
I got to go to Comic-Con, so that was exciting. I'm so not knowledgeable in the world of like I know things about comics and I've definitely read like the top comics.
Sure.
So like if someone was like, "Oh, do you know comics?" It would be like, "Yeah, I've read Saga. I've read, stuff that everyone's read." So I'm not by any means like a niche person in it that I think you need to be, but so it's like very cool to just be in that world and
Yeah, it's
like,
different.
Yeah,
The
and
energy level is different.
people are so like stoked on it. They love it. And the response has been cool because people can read it so quickly rather than just like a book, which
What's
might
it
take a
called?
while. It's called Bury the Lead.
Oh, Bury the Lead.
And so like people can breeze through it in like a day or two and then you get like instant feedback.
And then it's like fandom immediate. Has the instant feedback been a positive thing for you?
Yes.
Emotionally?
It has been. I mean, the only negative stuff I've seen is people being like, "Oh, I wish it was longer," or like, "I wish there was."
That's not negative.
Yeah, or like, "Oh, I wish it was it delved into this storyline a little bit more," or whatever. And I'm like, "Yeah, me too. Hopefully, we get a sequel." Like
now, with something like that, how do you know? Like, how do you measure success with something like that?
Well, you measure sales and then also interest. I can't really say a lot about it, but
secrets.
interest in adaptations, let's say.
Ooh.
Which was the plan
All
for
along.
me kind of all along. I mean, I love comics and I would want to keep doing more comics, but it's also a great way. Comics are a great way to get into TV or movies because you have this basically like you can show the people here's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a different medium than like writing a novel.
Yeah.
Or making a video.
Because people can just see what it I mean, it's the same as
Immediately.
doing like a proof of concept kind
Yeah.
of. People can just immediately see if they like it or what they want it to,
Yeah.
what they want it to what they think it should look like or whatever.
Dumb question.
Yeah.
Did you draw it?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not that talented. No, a girl named Claire Rowe drew it, and then someone else colors it.
Oh, wow.
So there's an artist and there's a colorist, and then this guy Miguel Merito colored it, and it's very international. It's a very international production because
Wow.
I'm here, Claire is in Scotland, Miguel is in Mexico, and
wow.
we've never met.
Oh my gosh. But like
Yeah.
hopefully one day you'll get brought together somehow.
I mean, I think it's a lot of like freelance people, and I know Claire has worked for DC, and
Oh,
like
wow.
Miguel does a lot of stuff for Boom Studios, which is
Oh,
who
yep.
put out Bury the Lead. So like it just they just kind of put you all together, and then it's like hope your words and your color and your drawing goes together, and then it makes this. It's cool because I like collaboration. So it makes like one final product.
Well, it seems like a lot of the stuff you have done in your career is like collaboration based.
Yeah.
My question is like,
go for it.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say I like when one person is good at. I like when everyone does the thing they're good at.
But you're also, I wouldn't say you're not a control freak, but you've done a lot of things with your name on it. Mm-hmm. How do you trust?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird what I'm intense about versus not intense about. Like, I wrote the script for Bury the Lead, and then you give it to the artist, and the artist draws it.
What if you hate it?
I just give notes. Like, you just give notes, or you hire, I looked at her resume and her portfolio, and I saw examples, and I was like, yeah, let's use her. And it's stuff that you don't know that you're going to hate till you see it. So I'm like, I don't really have an opinion on what color the main character's dress is in this scene. But then you see it and you're like, oh, it's absolutely not yellow. Gross. Like, you don't have a thought until you see it.
Right.
So you give notes or whatever. I mean, I have a tough time with people not being good at their job, not even when it affects me. Like, there's a thing going on. There's like a thing going on right now where like I want trigger warnings on something, and people are being very loose about it. And to me, it's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And to other people, they're
who's
kind
it
of
hurting?
like, who's it? I mean, they just like, I don't know. It's like an uphill battle sometimes with stuff with regards to social justice.
Right.
And so that is when I don't have control over like the description on something, and I'm like, hey guys, for the description on this, it needs to have a content warning. And they'll be like, yeah, totally. And then they post it and they don't put the content warning.
And you're like,
and I don't have access to go in and So like, I'm more control freak about stuff that has to do with the audience than I am about like, I guess, stuff with my name on it, weirdly.
Yeah, but that I think makes you a good creator.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I just like when everyone, I know enough to know what I don't know. So I know I can't draw. Like, I know I can't draw. I know I can't.
Yeah.
I don't have a very good visual eye. I could probably direct something, and like I have directed stuff, but am I the best director? Probably no. So like, I'm happy to, like, if I wrote something, I'm happy to give it to someone who is a director and then let them do the thing that they're the best at.
Right.
So I don't presume to think that like I'm the best at something, or even with like writing projects, like I have an idea of what I want it to be, and I write it on my own. But like, if I'm writing with someone else and they have an idea that's better, I'm like, great, let's use your idea. Like, I'm never like, it has to be me.
Right. What was that quote you just said where you're like, I know enough to know? Because I think that needs to be the new tagline of this podcast.
I know enough to know what I don't know. What I'm not good at.
Did you just come up with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all the time. I think like...
Well, that was like why I wanted to have this podcast, because I kept having feedback of like, you need to make it like a specific genre of something. And I'm like, no. Like, one day I want to talk about butt stuff, and the next day I want to talk about neuroscience.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have
just stuff that I don't know about.
That was almost the name of this podcast. Stuff I don't know.
But you've made Confidently Insecure such a brand. And it also has to do... I mean, it's the same concept.
Right. Exactly. It's all encompassing. I need to get a neon sign that I can put here that says Confidently Insecure next. But they're
expensive.
Expensive! They're like $1,000 for like
to get one of those made?
For one word with no color. It's like $1,000.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you have a special talent of making neon signs.
There are people that do it. So I guess what is it? Glass blowing?
I don't know.
It's something else.
It's gotta be good.
Well, what about those ones, those like fake marquees that people get? They're they're janky. It's probably not as cool as having your own neon sign.
And especially because my like video is like a neon sign. But that's a graphic artist made that. Like a motion graphics artist made that.
That's
people
like
don't know that's fake.
A birthday present or something.
All right, listen, my birthday already passed, but best friends, boyfriends who listen to this podcast, that's what I want. Do you know things we don't know about, we're happy to admit, but you know what we do know about?
Bisexuality.
Being bisexual. And I have, Brooke, my intern, has compiled a list of the most biconic questions we got. And like I said, there were so many that I just want to like power through these. I want this to be the big Be Bi episode. Okay. We're going all sorts of places: emotional, mental, physical. Okay. So are you ready, Gaby Dunn, noted iconic bisexual?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay. Yeah, you're going to answer too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. But I mean, people are listening because it's you. So I will chime in when necessary.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not going to out people, so I'm just going to give like initials, but shout out. Thanks to everyone for writing in. EM asked, what's your favorite thing about bi culture? First of all, what is biculture?
Yeah, probably I was going to say the arbitrary way that we decide what biculture is. Like, I love being like, yeah, it turns out biculture is you can't do math and you can't sit and you can't drive.
There you go.
And like, you just like decide what things are. I love noticing the little things that are biculture too. Or like the bi bob, like the short haircut that we all
like
have.
came and went.
Yeah.
It's not like.
We all have it. I mean, our hair, mine's growing out, but like we all had the short kind of
like
haircut.
the dyeing of the
dyeing
half
the
tips.
bottoms, dyeing the tips.
I have not done that yet, but it's because I'm afraid to experiment with color.
Why? That's not very bi of you.
That it's not, but which is funny, right? Because
but sometimes the blonde too, the short
the
blonde
blonde bob. All right.
With the roots.
Fair enough.
That's
yeah,
like
that's
a bi.
me.
Yeah, that's the bi. That's biculture. But see, that's the thing. It's just like inventing whatever
the fuck
biculture
we
is.
want.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fun to notice patterns or to be like, it's also my favorite thing is when someone will be like, these things are biculture. And then someone will be like, well, I do all those things and I'm not bi. And then like a month later, they comment again and are like, well, it turns out that I am bi. Like, it's very fun to see like what.
Yeah.
I posted one of my favorite things was it was something about how bi people can't sit right. And then I just posted a bunch of famous bi people who can't sit right. And then I like had reached pinnacle because Kaylani commented and was like, I'm screaming. Because it was just every bi person with one leg up.
Who's been your most favorite retweet of yours?
Oh my God.
I feel like you have some pretty biconic.
Yeah, I mean,
friends.
anytime she's responded has
That's
been
pretty crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had sometimes I don't know why. Like Sarah Ramirez. If we're talking about bi people.
Yeah.
Whenever she responds to me, I'm just like,
I feel
what?
wow.
You're the best.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do. Like
yeah.
I've met her in person like once or twice maybe, and then I always so my assumption is like she doesn't remember me, but then whenever she responds to something, I'm like,
I don't know,
what?
bitch. You got a pretty iconic look. I feel like you're pretty memorable.
I mean that when I went through like I don't know 3 seasons of Madam Secretary just to get to her appearance on Madam Secretary.
Nice.
So that's biculture too.
There you go.
Is watching a show, watching every season of a show to get to like season 5 when a character comes out as bisexual.
There you go.
And then my ex was like,
Grey's
well,
Anatomy.
why do you exactly? My ex was like, why do you need to watch 6 seasons of the show? Can't you just
need to see the development.
Thank you.
You need to see how the writers were like, oh, we're behind the times.
Can't you just watch the episode where they come out? No, I need 8 seasons of context.
I need the anticipation too. I need the like, will they, won't they? I need the like, I need to see season 1 poster versus season 2 poster. This is all very valid. And now I feel like almost like the kids behind us are too woke where like now they're putting it in the posters where you obviously know that they're going to be bi, where you're like, all right, I guess we can just start off with the obvious. But, you know, that's all good representation.
I like that better than playing catch up. But I also like when it's clear that the show didn't plan for this character to be queer, but then like the character told them the character became its own thing and told the writers who they were. I like that.
I concur.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. IR asks, isn't it harmful that we treat bicuriosity as something entirely different from bisexuality, from the perspective of people struggling with their sexuality who don't feel valid enough? And then there was like a piggyback of another person that asked, what are your feelings about the term bicurious?
I don't really get it. I don't know. Because I just don't know.
I feel like it's a soft in.
I guess. But like it's the same to me as like homoflexible or heteroflexible. I don't know. I want people to identify as whatever they want. Use whatever term you want. Identify however you want. Because
I would assume that in this instance, by curiosity will usually come in a stereotypical sense of like girls in college making out with other girls for like fun.
Which like, so who is that hurting? I don't know. I never understood. I know that people get very upset about it.
But why?
I think because they feel invalidated. I think there's a lot of lesbophobia. And so people that are lesbians feel invalidated and nervous that men will, you know, come up to them and be like, oh, you're just right. Exactly. And so I think that they're really nervous and protective, which I totally understand.
You're someone who dates a lot of lesbians.
Yeah.
Lesbians, this is a general statement, don't like me. I've never had like a successful relationship with what I call a FBL, a full blown lesbian, someone who that like outrightly calls themselves a lesbian.
Uses the word lesbian. Yeah. I went back and forth. Like I definitely had periods where lesbians did not like me.
Why?
Because
is it a them thing, or am I also a little intimidated by not being gay enough?
It's probably both. It's probably both, I would say. It's probably like I felt nervous. Definitely I felt like lesbian. I had a whole thing where I was dating this woman who identified as a lesbian, and I was like, I never wanted to approach you or ask you out. And she was like, why? And I was like, I just thought you would laugh at me.
Yeah.
And she was like, you thought I would laugh at you? And I was like, yeah. Like I
when
literally
you say it that way.
I literally thought that I would go up and be like, hey, do you want to go out? And she would be like, okay, little bi girl, move along.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
That is absolutely what I thought.
Because that has happened to me.
Yeah.
That has absolutely happened to me, where I feel shut out of certain spaces.
Where she would be like, okay, whatever. Like, and so, but then I've had other lesbian friends be like, why would you shut bi girls out? Like that's just more people for you to date. I don't understand why you would.
That's how I feel about Bicurious though. Is like, wouldn't we rather have people talking about the term than not?
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't we rather have, I think it's the normalization. Probably it's the normalizing of bi-curiosity. Yeah. Because like, I think men in particular are not afforded the ability to be bi-curious. They're not afforded like any sort of experimentation. They're not afforded any like leeway or openness to like explore.
It's the road to gay.
Yeah. They're like not, there's no coming back from it, which is like, I think very limiting and probably very toxic for men. Yeah. And so we should and that's also kind of on straight women too, because the reaction that straight women have to their boyfriends saying I'm bi-curious or I've hooked up with a guy once and it didn't do it for me. So now whatever. Like women that I'm friends with have even been like, I don't know, he hooked up with a guy once, I feel like. And I'm like, bitch, you used to fuck girls in college. What are you fucking talking about?
Like, it's this
crazy double standard.
With that. I definitely had to confront my own male biphobia. I don't even know if that's the right term. In that I saw a lot of On the Way to Gay. Yeah. Because it was like the safe thing to do. Sure. But then like, now I want nothing more than Jared to stick a dick in a guy's butt. But I don't know if it's because I can't. It has a lot to do with masculinity, I think. Yeah. Where it's like, I've seen sturdy masculinity from Jared, so I would allow some bend in that, but that's my own heteronormativity, right?
That's fascinating.
Like, that's like me saying there can't be uber masculine bi men. Like I wouldn't know what to do with that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, no, it's
both.
awful.
I know uber masculine bi men. I know very feminine bi men. I've also tend to like effeminate men very much. So like I have no. I don't know. I've never had any, I think, of the usual thoughts on gender. Like I've never been like, my boyfriend has to have a beard. Like never. Like they barely have chest hair.
Mine does, only because he looks goofy without one.
Well, Jared specifically, okay. But I just mean in general, like they're all they're very flexible, very smooth Twinkie boyfriends I've had. But like I don't know. I think there's a lot of hatred, and I think bisexuals are defensive about bi-curious people because they want to be we want to be taken seriously. We're looking for like validation, blah blah blah. I've gotten in trouble maybe for this, but I kind of am like, I don't need anyone else to approve. I don't, and I understand the need for external validation, particularly from the straight community or from the gay community as a bisexual. But I'm also like, I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you think it's real. I don't care if you approve of it. It's happening. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like when that song, Girls came out, I was like kind of, there was some issues where I was like defending it, where I was kind of like,
it's her experience.
Also, like like there was people that were upset because it was like I was
sometimes 50-50.
I was, which also that's my biggest problem with it is the gender binary of it all. Yeah. But the idea, because I think like there's this misconception that bisexuality has to do with binary, which it doesn't.
Glad you said that.
But it's also like so funny that I was like, it was like, oh, she says in the song, like, I was kissing her and then last week we were with the dude, like, oh my God. So, and I was like, you understand bisexuality includes men, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're a girl and you have a threesome with a girl and a guy, that is still queer.
Experience.
Like, I don't know how to explain to you that, like,
and that, that is nail on the head. Is that I think when we think bicurious, we equate it to gay or lesbian,
right?
We're not still understanding queer
right.
as a whole.
Or what if you're a lesbian and you've been with women your whole life, and then you're like, I'm bicurious, like maybe I'm interested in a guy, but we like never extend that too.
Yes.
And I get a lot of we just had a question on JBU where a girl wrote in and she was like, I've identified as a lesbian my whole life. I'm worried now that I'm bicurious and I might be interested in men. What do I do? Like, everyone's going to think that I was just faking it, or I was taking, like, why are we so rigid about it? Like, and then she's not going to date this guy she's interested in because everyone's going to be like, fake lesbian. Like, we got to be kinder to each other.
And also, if your friends are doing that, fuck your friends.
Yeah.
Those aren't friends.
Then they're like, but how many, every fucking lesbian movie, like, there's always, I mean, I know people say what you want about Chasing Amy, but like the scene where she is like with her lesbian friends and she's saying that she's dating Ben Affleck and they give her shit is so real.
It's so real.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, this, wrapping up this question is like, I think if we're not hurdling it as an insult, bicuriosity is okay for me.
Right.
Like, I think the writing in asking is like, if someone's calling me that, isn't it harmful? Like, yeah, that's harmful. But if it's you saying that that's what you are, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't either. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, yeah, I'm just like flexible or fluid or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fluid's been a really helpful word these last few years.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah. But I still, I mean, I don't know. I stuck with bi because that's the first one I used.
That's not a question in here, but there's other stuff about like, why aren't you pansexual? And I'm like,
oh boy. You know what I love? When people comment and say, why aren't you pansexual?
It's like, first of all, let me break this down for you.
Yeah.
I hope my audience understands, maybe not. So let's say it. The term bisexual to me means genders like mine and unlike mine.
Yes, 100%.
And that can be all kinds of genders.
Absolutely. And in terms of like, right. And because bi means two, it doesn't necessarily mean binary. And also, I don't think it equates for people who are bisexual who are interested in, let's say, women and non-binary people.
Right.
And that's two. And that those two are not involving cis men.
Yeah.
Or, I'm interested in, it's just any combination of two that allows for it to be multiple genders. Right. But I think when people are like bi, they're like, oh, the two men and women. And it's like, no,
that's
actually.
Not 2019 of you. But I think it's also a learning curve. Like, I know a lot of people who don't say things on purpose. It's more like, I try to separate the people who I know are asking out of love versus like, why aren't you, you dumb bitch, your false narrative.
Or the people that are just like,
you false god.
I hate bisexuality. So it's so funny. My partner right now is a non-binary person, and they identify as bisexual, and they got these comments being like, why do you identify as bisexual? It's exclusionary to non-binary people. And then they had to be like, hi, I am non-binary. Like, I don't know how to like.
How do I answer that?
I don't know how to tell you.
But like, do you think we need the word pansexual then?
Sure. I mean, whatever. I don't really see a huge difference. I never have, but I think if pan feels better to you, then use it. If bi feels better to you, then use it. If you're really hung up on what does that mean, become my friend and ask me.
Google it, bitch. There's the fucking internet.
Well, but Google might also
be
wrong. Google might say, oh, well, bi is binary and pan is all, Google might have the wrong answers. So it really comes down to the individual person. So if you're like, Kelsey, why are you bi and not pan? It's literally get to know me and ask me. Like, I don't know. Like, you can't assume based on what someone says, what that means about them.
Right. Exactly.
Because I don't know how to like I identify as bi. My partner right now is non-binary transmasculine. Oh, sorry, it happened. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, and they also identify as bi. And so like people being like, no, but bi means this. I'm like,
It's happening.
It's happening.
I like that term. It's happening.
It's happening. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
That's the name of this episode.
You know?
Okay. How about Oh, this is a good one. BK asked, how can straight presenting bisexuals, work to make the queer community more visible? Do you consider yourself straight presenting?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I don't myself, like personally. Yeah. I don't, but what the world has shown me, I have been like, oh, I have to accept that I am straight presenting because that's harmful to people that aren't.
Sure. I mean, I have no idea. When I had like a buzzed head, I think people made assumptions. Now my hair's blue on the bottom, so maybe people will be like, oh, queer girl. I don't know. I've had things where I've been like, oh, I look straight. And then friends have laughed in my face and been like, no, you don't. But I have no, I mean, my shirt says the future is eating ass. Wait,
I missed that because I'm so used to that saying the future is female that I didn't even fucking finish it. Oh, no. It literally says the future is eating ass. That's incredible.
Thank you. I whenever I wear it out, I have friends who are like, you can't, like, kids will, and I'm like, kids can't read.
Yeah, and it's time they learn.
Yeah,
They're
time
reading
they learn.
YA novels about sex and butt stuff, so
exactly.
I'm just doing them a favor by
you know what? Why don't you have a conversation with your child?
Yeah, about butt stuff.
About butt stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like, I think I choose it a lot in the way that I wear clothes, or like I'll wear jackets with pins that say queer, bisexual or queer, or like, you know, I think the way I dress, I choose to be a little bit like, it's like you can read between the lines.
Yeah.
I think also like it takes into account what do we mean by straight presenting.
Right.
Can I just say, I get why we do it and make fun or whatever, but I don't like when someone will be like, why is this straight couple at Pride? Or why is this straight couple at this queer event or whatever? Because like I had a boyfriend who was bi. We were both bi. We went to queer events. We're both bisexual.
But you're straight presenting.
But we look like, straight people infiltrating.
Yeah.
Or like,
just
perhaps one or both of those people are trans. Perhaps one or both of those people are non-binary. Like, why are we closing this off and being like, get out of here, straights?
Why are we trying to make it? And I think you bring up a good point.
We're making assumptions. We're stereotyping our own.
And I think that brings up such a good point about like taking up or not taking up queer space has been an interesting conversation in that, like, the same way some things are for Black people, right? Like movies, like, not for me. I can still go and enjoy it and support it and allyship it and lift it up in a non.
But you're not centered. It's not for your gaze.
It's for me. But I can still, and I think that maybe this answers the question a little bit of like, how can straight presenting bisexuals work to make the queer community more visible? Is like, still do the work you're doing of like lifting up, especially people that aren't passing or whatever, like in ways that if someone needs help, you would help them, or you can still speak out on issues that are like, be an ally the same way you already are.
Yeah. I think also that it's two different sets of problems. Like obviously people who like can't pass probably are being harassed on the street, probably are getting comments made at work or whatever, or facing actual repercussions at work. Thank you, Supreme Court.
Right. Jesus.
But then also I remember when I looked very straight, people would say shit in front of me. Even, you know what, on 4th of July, I was somewhere where it was mostly straight people and they didn't really know me. It was like a barbecue. And they were talking about the bi season of Are You the One that was on at the time.
Incredible.
And they were like talking about it in front of me and I felt like a spy because I was just like, they were like, well, of course no one here is gay. That would be nuts.
Oh my God.
So they were just talking about it in front of me and I went quiet and I was like just kind of hearing what they're gonna say. And I think that kind of microaggression too, like if someone feels like they can just be homophobic in front of you as a straight passing bi person, that's traumatic too. Like we each have our own problems, you know? And there's this thing of like, do I speak up, do I walk away? Whereas like, you know, and I think that's something that we go, oh, you're so lucky to be straight passing, which like in some ways you are, but also you probably are dealing with your own set of like microaggressions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like making sure you're also protecting your space and emotions. Like I was at a bar with two queer people, Hannah Hart and Thomas Sanders, and there was a very intoxicated, I'm assuming because I'm correct, straight guy who was married with kids that was sitting next to us and kept trying to get in on our conversation. And we were just like, oh, we're having like a friend thing. Like, no, thank you. And he was like saying shit under his breath, and we heard him drop the F-bomb. And in that moment, of course, the three of us were like, you fucked with the wrong queers. But he was so big, so drunk. We were so alone that we were like, we would not be doing a service. Like, this guy's so blacked out. He's not going to cooperate. He's not going to learn anything.
Yeah.
If anything, we're putting ourselves in danger.
Yeah.
So we just decided to not engage. It was not engage mode. And I think in that moment, it was like, we would rather... No one's here to witness our allyship or whatever. But I think in that instance, you're talking about 4th of July. Like, did you feel safe enough where you could have said something and not felt emotionally labored?
It wasn't my friends, so I didn't feel like being the person.
Yeah.
Plus, they kind of got there eventually. Like, I was mostly amused. I was mostly just kind of sitting there being like, what's this going to shake out to be?
Exactly. I feel like I'd be really curious.
Spying. Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to say anything because I want to hear what they say. And they kind of, it was funny. They were confused. Like, they were like, oh, it's the bi season, so everyone doesn't have a gender. That was how it started. And then they were like, I don't think that's what bi means. And then someone else was like, no, yeah, it means like you're non-binary. And then the person's like, no, that's a different thing. And then the other person, like, they were parsing it out. And I was like, they're getting there. They're hot.
Like,
they're hot.
Cold,
and then finally they were like, I think it means that they're bisexual. And then the guy was like, yeah, that's what it is. And I just kind of walked away. But it was more, I'm secure enough that I was like, this is funny to me. But I could see where if you weren't and you were new and you were newly out or whatever, you would be like very devastated by that conversation.
Or if like you're new to that friendship group, you wouldn't feel very welcome. Whereas this sounds like they were trying to figure it out. It wasn't like such a traumatic thing as much as it was like funny.
It was funny because but I was also a little bit like, wow, I kind of forgot about straight people. Like, I forgot. Like, I was like, oh, wow, look at them.
That happened. That happens to me all the time. And I feel so lucky that I live where I live and my friends are where my friends are, because I had a recent conversation with 3 straight, not white dudes, but 3 straight dudes. And I was just like, is this what you guys talk about?
Yeah, I forgot.
I couldn't be more bored. Okay, let's see. Green-eyed girl in the closet said, hey, fellow bi babe here. I recently came out and have a lot of issues with people saying, you still like boys, so just date them.
Oof.
I grew up very religious. What's a good response? It's happening.
Yeah. Well, this is it's happening.
It's happening. It's that Michael gif from The Office.
It's happening. It's happening.
It's happening.
Well, this is also the thing of assuming that bi means men and women, which like, it's like, if you come out as bi, it could mean any genders. So it doesn't mean you might not like men. You might not like cis men. You might not like trans men. Like, sorry. But like, because that's not the point of it. The point of it is that you're open to dating whoever you date, or you whoever you meet that you like the most.
Now, is it, I feel like I'm asking you to do emotional labor for me, but like,
No,
is it anti-queer to say I'm bisexual, but I don't like trans men? Like, it's not my type. Like, is it saying like this is a type? Like,
well,
not for me.
How could you possibly know?
Unless you hooked up with someone.
Or unless how could you possibly know? Like, if you meet someone and you are attracted to them and you are like interested in them and everything, and then when you find out that they are trans is when you change your mind.
That's transphobic.
That's transphobic.
And you are problematic.
because you liked them all the way up until. You know,
which is different
if you're
from
talking
saying,
to them, and then you're like, yeah, oh my God, they're so cute, we're getting along, blah blah blah, and then they're like, I actually think that John Carpenter is a bad director, and then you go, wow, well, fuck you, and you don't date them anymore. That's different. You know, that's like, oh, you didn't like an aspect of their personality or whatever, their taste, but like just based on genitalia is very weird.
But then, okay, follow me down this rabbit hole. Then isn't the idea of saying I'm bi not a definition that isn't like my gender and unlike, isn't that inherently either cisphobic, transphobic, or like
because you're saying genders like mine and unlike mine.
Yeah, like if you identify as bi as anything but that.
Oh, well then, yeah. I mean, if you're like there are things of like I'm bisexual. And that does mean men and women to me. And like, I don't like, then it's, I think, a thing that I think a lot of trans exclusionary radical feminists, TERFs, use in order to be like, that's why I think people are nervous about the word bisexual generally, or because they have to then make sure like, you're not saying it in a TERFy way, right?
Right.
You're like, no.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it's like bad press, I think, for bisexuals that it I think has been co-opted a little bit by like, it's just like bad marketing. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Like that, like anti-trans people have taken it and are running with it and are like, well, because I think it's just like, I don't know. Do we have to take a billboard out with like the proper definition? You know what I mean? Like, it's bad marketing.
Right. No. Okay. Thank you for answering that. So what's a good response? I think it's happening. Also, you say like you grew up very religious, so I understand that these people probably are just naive.
You still like men, thank God.
And ignorant. Like I have to assume that these aren't people you can openly if you have to judge these people a little bit. Are they someone that you think you can talk to where they won't be ignorant and they can learn? Or is this a situation where you just have to nod and move on?
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? It's also the thing of like, oh, thank God you still like men. It's like, okay, but what do you mean by men? Like now we've reached like it's just kind of, it's the thing of like being at the barbecue and being like, you know what? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it. And you can think what you want about that, or you can hope for what you want.
Yeah.
But
I always say, I've said this a million times.
They're not going to choose your person for you. So
right. Boom. That I always say this is Jasmine Robbins says a great quote where she says labels are to make other people comfortable.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, if you feel comfortable identifying a certain way and you have to do what you have to do to feel safe and emotionally stable, or like I've done it where before I had come out all the way, I had like soft coming outs over and over and over again my whole life. But I used to just say that I was
bi-culture.
Yeah, there you go. Is that I was just like, I would make out with girls when I was drunk. You know, like that was like my identity.
Which is why I hate when people are so mean about that.
Yeah.
Because
fucking
like that is
more come to the dark side.
Also like, well, this is not great, but I would be like, well, one, like that's sometimes the way in for a lot of queer women because they don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And two, I'm sorry, we're mad about straight girls wanting to make out with us. We're mad about it.
More for us.
I spent all of high school and college trying to get straight girls to make out with me, and now we're upset about it for political reasons.
God. Okay.
Guys,
let's see.
shut the fuck up. Shut up. Stop being narcs.
And that.
What are you, cops? Are you guys cops?
It's the Twitter cops. It's mostly Twitter cops. Okay. EV asked, do you think it's harder to be bisexual than gay in today's society?
Oof. I don't know. I can't presume.
Strictly saying gay and bisexual because I think it's a lot harder to be a lot of other things.
True.
But
yes.
My instinct is to say I don't think it's harder because most of the country is pretty homophobic still in places like we live in bubbles.
It's bad for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not great for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't want to play like oppression Olympics.
Oh, I do, I guess. I think it's harder to be gay. I've had a very great time being bi.
Oh, well, here's the thing.
I'm a cis white woman.
Right. I've had
That's
a great
my response.
time. I've had a great time. Being bi definitely has things wrong where like, you date let's say you date a cis man, a cis straight man, and you go and meet his family and they're very confused by you and they don't trust you. Like that's a bi experience in my experience. But like, I don't know. I've never been the other one, so I can't say what's worse. I think it's not great all around.
Yeah, we could do better.
Yeah.
It's so many E's. EM says, how do you deal with we already answered this. P asks, are you sometimes more into girls some days and then guys other times? Because it'd be like that for me. Well, based on our entire conversation, I think we can kind of review that it doesn't always mean.
Yeah, it's not men or women. It's not 50-50. It's not there's all sorts of genders out there that I encourage you to be open to.
But I will say that some days I think it's okay to I'm gonna say
that's
flip
fine.
floppy.
Yeah.
It's okay. Some days I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm putting my Bumble on women only.
Yep.
Because today I'm feeling the pussy power. That's what I want. I need juices like that. Whereas some days I'm like, you know what?
It depends because then it comes
comes
back
down
to
to genital.
genitalia, which I don't
Energy, I should say.
Female. So some days you're like, I feel female energy.
Yes.
Okay.
And like whatever that means to
Yeah.
whoever's identifying as female on Bumble, great. Or women on Bumble, great. But I think the idea of 50-50 can be harmful, but I also think that it's okay.
Oh, it's okay if you identify as bi and you are 10% one way and 90% one way, or if you're 10% one way, 80% one way, 10% another way, or
there's infinite options.
Infinite options to identifying as bisexual. It does not have to be any sort of pie graph, you know, specific type thing. Some days, sometimes you are going through a thing where you like one type of person more, or you like another type of person more, or I went on a journey of having dated more cis men and then moved more into people that are not that. You go through phases. I mean, if you are a monogamous person, this is what I always don't understand. Like when people are like, bisexual people can't be monogamous. Like if you are a monogamous, I mean, you and I aren't,
True.
but if we were straight, we wouldn't be.
Yeah.
If we were gay, we wouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's not related. Like if there's so many friends of mine who are just monogamous people. They love monogamy. They're very into monogamy as a thing, and they're bi, but they want one person.
Yeah.
And so, it's like a different experience. Like I think if you're a different person, you have a different experience, that's fine. You don't have to fit into whatever like the respectability politics of being bisexual means.
You're so smart.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go. AJS says, how do you go about the STD test discussion, woman to woman, condoms with men? I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, again, like
what are we talking?
We're talking about people with vaginas, people with penises. So you can't people with penises. So you can't just be like, oh, well, condoms is only for discussions with men, because it's not. Or people there's different STDs that can happen with different mashups of genitalia.
Yeah.
So
or toys. Things can live on toys.
Or things can live on toys, and you got to wash your toys.
Absolutely.
100%. Use a condom on a strap-on.
Always.
Yeah. So I know people don't know that. But anyway.
That's
they
what
really
this podcast is for.
I know. You have to put a condom on it, because if you use it with different people, it can pick up the diseases. But also, it's always good just to have that conversation. I mean, a big thing, I think it doesn't get talked about a lot, is like with two vaginas, with two, female genitalias, or with two, whatever, let's say two vaginas, just because it has bacteria, like, so BV, bacterial vaginosis. Right. So that's something where like you think like, oh, two vaginas can't have an STD, or can't have, but you can pass a yeast infection back and forth.
You absolutely
can pass BV back and forth.
Pussies.
Like, so like
HPV. We've already talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But people
skin to skin contact, herpes, so much. So,
which like, it's totally obviously fine, and that's up to you, and that's like up to your partner, and like, there's no STD shaming at all here.
No, absolutely.
But like people think that certain genitals on certain genitals can't cause STDs, or even just infections. Yeah. Like how, I mean,
listen,
I had a girlfriend.
It's a damp, wet hole.
Yeah, we passed BB back and forth for like weeks.
No! Oh, that's the worst.
You don't know. You're just like, who is in charge of this? Like, someone cut this off at the pass.
Who is patient zero?
Who is patient zero?
Why didn't you just treat it and fucking not fuck for a little bit?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we should have.
But I mean, that's a big problem with HPV too. My last episode was talking about how I was diagnosed with HPV and what that means, and how there's no testing penises for it. There's no symptoms, and what does that mean for your partners? And listen, it's a damp hole. Okay, skin. If you're touching skins with other people in an intimate way. Have the conversation.
Yes. People always. I just had Ella Dawson, who's an amazing herpes activist.
Oh my gosh,
JBU, and she was talking about how you're told like condoms will take care of everything, but like herpes is a skin condition, so you can get herpes just by touching skin to skin. Like condoms don't have anything to do with it. So it's like a failure, basically a huge failure of our sex education programming. Huge, and it's both. It's the heteronormativity of our sex education programming. It's a failure of even having it.
Religion.
It's it's stuff where we think of penises as being for boys and vaginas as for women. So then we don't give everyone all the information. It's very bad.
Yeah, no, I went to a public school and we, of course, like, we did it in a menacing way where we were like, what about two pussies? Like, we would call things out from the back. And our sex ed teacher was like the guy from Mean Girls, where he was like, that doesn't happen. It's not physically possible to have sex with two vaginas. And we were like, oh my God, don't stop yelling at it. Like, he was mad about it. That's
crazy.
Public school in Florida, which you also did.
I did private school in Florida.
Oh, you did private school?
I went to a religious day school.
No! I feel like that's even worse.
I don't know. We're both from Florida. What's worse, the Florida public school system or a religious school in Florida?
Religious school in Florida. Period. Listen, I turned out we're both fine, but I know a lot of people who made it perfectly fine out of public school. I don't know a lot of people who made it out of religious school in Florida.
Thank you.
Did I ever tell you about the show I'm doing with Comedy Central Digital called What the Florida?
No.
Remind me to tell you later.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. BR asked, how do you deal with biphobia within the community?
Sure.
And then SS asked, have you ever had girls refuse to date you because you're not gay enough?
Probably.
Biphobia in the community.
Yeah.
That's their fault. But then you can't be mad at them because they're our brothers and sisters and in-betweeners. Not in-betweeners.
You just have to kind of be like, I mean, people are not going to date you for all kinds of reasons, and you probably dodged a bullet, to be honest. I think, like, I've had friends who have been who have been in relationships with people who made them feel shitty about being bi.
Yep.
And so
I've told this story before, but we have a mutual friend that I was having sex with, and she said, can you stop because I don't want to be experimented on? And I was like, oh no, I think I'm just bad at like getting you off.
Yeah.
Like, I think just you personally, I don't know your like, turn on.
Right.
But when she said that to me, it fucked me up for years.
It was like a dig.
You're not gay
dig.
enough. It was definitely a bi dig. And now every time I see her, I'm like,
yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff like that happens where your bisexuality is blamed for things that could just be worked out through communication.
Boom. And it could be anyone.
Right. It could be anyone. I mean, it's like this very...
But I think that scarred me a little bit about FBLs.
I think you just go like, I don't want to be with you. Like, I think that's...
But
like,
how do I get over my fear of lesbians?
There are nice ones. I promise.
I know that, but honestly, like, I get more anxiety going out on a date with a lesbian or someone who like identifies as an FBL than any other sexuality.
They are mean to us on the internet. No, there's like this really, I see this a lot.
That's bi culture.
I know.
Getting bullied by a lesbian.
Well, I see this a lot online, and I like don't want to say all lesbians because it's not, but I see this a lot where it's like, where it's like, I hate going on Women Bumble and seeing couples. And it's like, how about you just swipe away from them
with your fucking day? Because that's like, what I'm on right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's this thing where it's like, I get it. I get the defensiveness. I really, really get it.
Yeah.
I think probably for years you were told, like, just to have sex with a penis and you'll be fine. And that's very transphobic and also very lesbophobic. And like, I get it. And like is very small-minded. So I understand the defensiveness against the small-mindedness in all regards. But you also, it's none of your business what bi people are up to. So like, stop. Why are you so mean?
Yeah.
It's this like very,
do you
or
think
like
it's
the
worth,
assumption of
do you
like,
think it's worth confronting? Like if someone says something biphobic to you that's in the community, do you think it's worth like pulling them aside and being like, we're all in this together and you don't have to be mean? Yeah.
I think there's like this, view of bi people as lesser than.
Totally.
And it just comes from, it's also again incredibly transphobic, because I think like there was this thing where and God love her, and maybe she was misquoted, but there was a thing where Megan Fox was like, I'm bi, but I wouldn't sleep with a girl who's slept with a guy because penises are gross. And you hear that a lot. What? Yeah, I think it was a long time ago, and I think she was misquoted, so I don't want to drag her.
That means.
Yeah, but but then it comes down to when you break all of it down, like the hatred of bi people, like it is super transphobic, super genital based, super like it just and also like judgy, and also this thing of like, well, this is the level of, I mean, it's even, I hate the gold star lesbian. I hate that term. I hate that. What? Why? You're better than
platinum gays,
right? Like, oh, you're better. Like, I don't know. But then I also understand like the fear and the defensiveness and the like nervousness from the monosexual community. Yeah. So like, I don't know. But like, we're not going to solve it here today on this podcast. But
we're not. Then what's the point?
I know. But just like, why? Like sometimes when you go to tweet things or when you go to write things or say things, just don't be like, oh, girls with boyfriends, like, I don't know, like, just don't be so
fucking mean,
narrow-minded and mean about it.
Hashtag it's happening.
It's happening.
Gaby Dunn, we're almost done.
I know,
but
we could have done like 1,000 more episodes.
Okay, how about this? What? I'm gonna scrub through like 5 more, and I just want your rapid fire.
Okay.
One sentence. I know it probably can't be boiled down into one sentence, but let's try. Why not? Let's give our viewers really something to just get off on here. Okay. How do you deal with unwanted assumptions of your sexual orientation?
Pins that say bisexual and making every shirt you own say bisexual or something gay.
Hashtag it's happening. Have you dealt with femme-erasure? If so, how do you cope?
Again, just being like, I mean, I'm very loud about being bi. I talk about it all the time. And I think people are like, ugh, why do gay people or queer people always talk about being queer? And it's like, I don't know, because you don't see us. I'll stop when you see us.
Ooh, hashtag I'll stop when you see us. Bi boys dating bi girls, question mark?
Ugh, please. The dream.
More of it.
The dream.
Is it possible to be happy and bi and monogamous, or do I just have to pick 2 out of 3?
No, you can be all of those things. You can be all of it. Each thing is an aspect of your personality that isn't connected to each other. Like I like to say, I have a tweet that was like, people keep saying I am an evil bisexual stereotype. I am both evil and bisexual. The two are unrelated. Please stop comparing them.
Stop putting me in a box. This is a good one to end on. What is your favorite bi representation on television?
Oh my God. There's so many.
Too bad you have to pick one.
Oh my God. Well, I love Sarah Ramirez on Madam Secretary, and I also love that Madam Secretary has another bi character who was coded as a gay guy for like 3 seasons.
Yes.
And everyone just assumed he was gay, and then they gave him like a beautiful little coming out moment where he comes out as bi, and I was like, this is so, they could have just let you think he was gay. And it was so great. And there's a scene of him talking at a bar with a ex-boyfriend. And I'm spoiling all of it. But basically, like, you're just like, oh, of course. Okay, his ex-boyfriend. Okay, so he is gay like we thought for 3 seasons. And then the boyfriend says something like, the ex says something like, well, you still doing that bi thing? And then he's like, it's not a thing. It's who I am. And I was like,
yes!
It was like it's very cute. It's very great. You know, it is a show that I think is probably very neoliberal and centrist in a lot of its policies. So I don't, whatever. But
watch
Sarah
for the gay queer characters.
There's 2, and in my mind,
2
in an ensemble cast of like 8 people. There's 2 canonically bi characters.
Thank you for the recommendation. Gaby Dunn, thank you for coming on here and spouting all your truths. Tell the people where they can follow you and what you got going on.
Sure. I'm at Gaby Dunn on Twitter, at Gabby Road on Instagram, and then Bury the Lead is my comic.
Buy it, watch it, see it, view it, digest it.
Yeah, go get it at a comic book store near you, or on IndieBound, or on, we whisper Amazon, but don't get it on Amazon. But do, but don't. But do, but don't.
Bye. See you guys next week.